Okay, so let's just take the last few minutes and discuss how we know what measure of center and spread to choose. You're going to have two choices to choose between. You're going to choose the mean and standard deviation or the median and the IQR. Don't intermix the two. Mean always goes with standard deviation because remember the standard deviation comes from the mean. On average, how far the data points are from the mean versus the median goes with the IQR. The IQR has the median inside of it, okay, and that describes where the middle 50% of the data lies. So how do you know which one to choose? It's going to be important to understand when to choose the various groups. Okay, so the median and the IQR are usually a better measure of the center and spread when you have a skewed distribution or a distribution that has outliers, and that's because the median and the IQR are resistant to outliers, and they will be a good measure of where the center or most of your data lies and where 50%, the middle 50% of the data lie, because they're not going to be pulled down or up by large outlier values. You're going to use the mean and the standard deviation only for reasonably symmetric distributions and those that don't have outliers. So if you have major outliers, do not use the mean and the standard deviation. Okay, please note that numerical summaries do not fully describe the shape of your distribution. So just looking at your 5-number summary, just looking at the mean and standard deviation, just looking at the median and the interquartile range are not necessarily going to give you a full picture of your data. Please make sure you always plot your data, and you can always use your graphing calculator and then just give a quick sketch, making sure that you label numerically and with a descriptive label at the bottom of your graph. So here's what this looks like whenever you're deciding what type of measures of center and spread. If we have a symmetric distribution, the mean and median are about the same, but I would still suggest using the mean as the measure of center. In a right skewed distribution, notice how the mean is going to be pulled down away from the median. The median is going to be where most of the data is, so we'd use the median in the IQR. Here, the left skewed distribution, the mean is pulled down by the tail, so the mean's actually going to be lower than where most of the data is. So in this case, you'd use the median and the IQR, okay? So just keep in mind, remember, the mean and standard deviation are going to be with your symmetric ones. Please don't pair the median with the standard deviation or the mean with the IQR. So just make sure you're keeping those separate, okay? Because like I said, the standard deviation doesn't have anything to do with the median, just the mean. All right, so here's your summary. Go ahead and take a minute and read these over. Just remember that your numerical summary always should report the center and spread, okay? And then you can also include that 5-number summary. The mean and median describe the center of the distribution. Remember, the mean is like the average or the balancing point, and the median is specifically the midpoint of the data. When you use the median to indicate the center of the distribution, describe its spread using the quartile, so that's the IQR, and you always want to indicate I'm using the median, mean, etc. Okay, and finally, a numerical summary of a distribution should do the center and spread, just to make sure that the interquartile range is the range, you're describing it as the range of the middle 50% of your observations. In this section, make sure whenever you are graphing your box and whisker plot, even if you've used your graphing calculator, you must show the work for the outliers. The 5-number summary specifically means your minimum, quartile 1, median, quartile 3, and max, and just gives us a quick overall description of what your box and whisker plot should look like. The variance, we don't use it very much. We really just use it to get the square root, which is the standard deviation, describes the center of our data. The mean and standard deviation are good descriptions for symmetric distributions without outliers. If we have a skewed distribution or a lot of outliers, we're going to use the median and IQR to measure our center and spread.